Promoters, television networks, and even some fighters often take liberties with boxing fans by charging us an arm and a leg for mutton dressed as lamb. Now, given how stacked this Saudi card is on December 23rd, I had wondered whether they would do the same with this. Not that it's mutton dressed as lamb, but it's actual lamb. In fact, it's better than that. What would we call it? Veal? And we get mugged off so often by these business people in boxing that I was expecting veal prices here. In fact, double veal prices. But instead, we've been met with a pleasant surprise. My concerns have been allayed. And it is a surprise because firstly, while it will be on pay-per-view, the price is surprisingly cheap. And perhaps the biggest surprise of all is which network it's going to be on, at least in Britain, because most people, including myself, had assumed that it would be on TNT Sports. That is the network of Frank Warren, Tyson Fury, etc. Now, while this is not a Frank Warren promotion, even though he's almost trying to insinuate that it isn't. It's a multi-promotional show. Just have a look at the event on BoxRec. It lists all the promoters, but Frank Warren was almost presented as the lead promoter. We can say that for him. So again, myself and many other people had assumed that in the UK it would be on TNT Sports. It's actually on Dazn, which is a massive coup for them and a massive coup for Eddie Hearn, let's be real. He doesn't own Dazn, but he is their lead promoter. And he's got one of his star fighters, if you can still call Anthony Joshua a star fighter, headlining the show. This will be, as far as I'm aware, the first pay-per-view DAZN have done in the UK. I know they attempted some pay-per-views previously, but they didn't come off. I know they've done Misfits pay-per-views, but I'm talking about real boxing. If you discount Tommy Fury and all that kind of stuff. This will be their first real boxing pay-per-view in the UK. They've done pay-per-views in the United States, of course. Now, the thing that you all want to hear is the price, right? Because I said it's surprisingly low. In the UK, it's going to be £19.99, so £20 basically. For a card this stacked, that is remarkable. To put it in perspective, Tyson Fury versus Derek Chisora was $26.99, I believe. And fans had become used to $24.99 at the very least. For this card, you would have been forgiven for thinking they would have charged, I don't know, £30, £40. To come in at $19.99, again, surprising. Now, obviously, fans don't like pay-per-view at all. They'd like to see things for free, or if they're DAZN subscribers, they'd like to see all the fights included as part of their subscription price. But I don't think many of them expected to get that for this particular show. So as I say, this will be a pleasant surprise for most. And in the US and Canada, the pay-per-view price is $39.99. So even over there, much cheaper than a standard pay-per-view. Very surprising, and this would surely be impossible without the involvement of the Saudis. So the Saudis haven't just given us an event, a show that would never have been able to happen without them, but they've also given it to us at a price that wouldn't have been possible without them. So much for the Saudis being bad for boxing. I've seen some people in the comments say that the atmosphere at these Saudi shows is really boring and therefore they're not going to watch any of these fights. Give it a rest. If you're a real boxing fan, you're going to watch. You're watching fights with no crowd all the time over the past few years when crowds weren't allowed. But somehow you're not going to watch this. Like, honestly, put a sock in it. It's better that the fights are happening with a not very lively crowd than the fights are not happening at all, isn't it? Because in most cases, it literally is an either-or situation. You either make the compromise of having a less than lively crowd, or you don't get the fights or these types of cards at all. Obviously, the former is preferable to the latter if you're a real boxing fan. So to recap, it will be $19.99 in the UK, $39.99 in the US and Canada, and $21.99 in US dollars, or the equivalent of in local currency, everywhere else in the world. Apparently, there will be some countries where the whole show is included as part of the DAZN subscription and will not be pay-per-view. But in the Boxing Scene article I'm reading right now, it doesn't list which countries those are. Hopefully it's the country I'm living in right now. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section below.